You're very welcome along to another edition of The Film Show. My name is Brian Lloyd, filling in for Mike Sheridan. This week I'm joined as always by my erstwhile colleague, Deirdre Malumba.
I like that.
Yeah. Although it's actually the wrong context. You're meant to say erstwhile as in like we used to work together and now we no longer do, which is not true at all. Dee has been to the cinema this week. I have not got a chance to get to the cinema this week. So you've seen all the movies this week. First one we have up for discussion is the First Purge. Now, I didn't realise this. This is the first time you've actually seen one of these.
Yeah. So it is I usually, as you know, because I've mentioned this on the show before, what I'll do before seeing a sequel is I'll go back and watch the films that have preceded it. But then when I heard that this was a prequel anyway, I didn't really bother, and I've kind of heard that they're all the same anyway. I think this is like the fourth in the series so far or something.
Yeah, well actually, wouldn't you know it, I just have my thing up in front of me now so I can actually fact check you on that. But yeah, go on.
It's good. I quite liked it. I mean, the only thing I couldn't help but think as I was watching it, the fact that I hadn't seen the others, have we seen kind of these themes and stuff before? Like one of the things I mentioned to you, which I thought was done really well and which was really interesting about it, was the whole race commentary that's going on through the film. And I think that particularly because this is coming from Blumhouse, and Blumhouse obviously had their last big success with Get Out, that maybe they were kind of utilising the success of that as well in a way. But I also was kind of wondering if The Purge had kind of tackled with those topics before.
Yeah, because I mean,
how many of them have you seen?
I've seen The Purge, and then I've seen The Purge Anarchy, which was the second one.
Okay.
I didn't see Election Year, but like, I mean, going by the posters, I mean, I think what they were kind of going for was a sort of like Trump versus Hillary kind of thing, you know. And that's the thing that's always been interesting about The Purge, I find, is the fact that, you know, when they made The Purge back in 2013, this was, you know, height of Obama. You know, things, you know, were not so terrible in the US. But then things started to slowly get worse and worse. You know, there was more, like, I mean, obviously there was more gun violence. You know, when Trump came into power, it just got even worse. And even the election year, because that's the third one, is The Purge Election Year. Yeah. And it's about, you know, a candidate who's basically trying to stop the purge from happening.
I think from what I remember, it's the second one, Anarchy, I think that's kind of done the best critically wise, if I'm right.
I think that's right, yeah. I mean, like, I think what they did with the whole time I was watching The First Purge, I was thinking, wow, this is really cool. This is a really interesting idea. I'd love to see what it's like outside.
Not The First Purge, The Purge.
The Purge, the Purge 2013, whatever. Yeah, but that one I was watching, I was like, God, I'd really love to see what happened outside of it, because, you know, it was very much a kind of a home invasion thriller. And, you know, Ethan Hawke was in it, Lena Headey was in it, you know, a decent cast, like. But, and again, it had that kind of thing of, like, you know, dealing with the kind of racial tension, you know, even just like economic tension. That is in the idea of, like, you know, it was the rich people were able to afford these really elaborate security systems that kept, you know, people out. But at the same time, the reason why I was kind of a bit like, okay, that's a good idea. And then when they did The Purge Anarchy, they kind of botched a little bit. They kind of made it a bit sort of cheesy, I want to say. They kind of went more, they really leaned into the whole John Carpenter Escape from New York kind of buzz. Whereas the first one was interesting as a sort of social satire. So I'm thinking The First Purge, I mean, they kind of, obviously you don't have anything to base it against. I mean, what was it like? Was it over the top? Was it with the action and the commentary, or how was it?
I mean, it's kind of hard to say, again, because I don't really have that to compare it to. But it's interesting what you said about, you know, the fact that you had kind of the richer white people who were able to kind of lock themselves up. Because in this particular film, it's set on Staten Island in New York, where it's, and they kind of pretty much solely followed the black kind of lower class population of it and how it specifically affects them. Most of the people have left, but there are a number of people who stay behind for a variety of reasons. Some of them have been like paid to take out this purge, and even like what they're paid is I think it's something like $5,000, which when you think about it,
it's not a huge amount of money.
It's not a huge amount of money, and yet people are so like desperate for money that they all do it, and they agree to carry out the purge and everything. And it has like different kind of commentaries on like aspects of class and violence and masculinity, the fact that it's all the men who are kind of really, really up for it and everything. And then you have like this sister who's really kind of, you know, the heart and soul of the movie. So that was interesting as well. And even like gang warfare, you have like different gangs.
Yeah.
And they kind of utilize the purge to kind of get like a step up the ladder. And it's quite interesting. And I really like the themes that were going on in it, and I really liked it. And
I feel like there's a boat coming, though. I feel like there's a boat coming.
Yeah, I felt the acting, and this is a tendency with Blumhouse. I think what they do, which is quite interesting, and it has kind of varying results, is that they tend to use lesser known actors, which I think is good in a way, because it means that you're focused on the story, and the themes and the message and what it's trying to do. The acting could be a little all over the place and a little mixed, and even like the lead actor in it, I didn't think was great. I much preferred like the sister and her brother. And sorry, I'm not saying the actors off the top of my head, but just because I don't really know them. Exactly. But I thought as a concept it was really good. I thought it was really intriguing. I thought that it kind of sucked me into the world and it kept me there. And then I loved the finale. I genuinely found it kind of heart racing and exciting and really cool. Although I was talking to people afterwards and they were like, "Oh, it's pretty much Die Hard," but that's so like simplistic.
Come on,
it's not Die Hard.
Die Hard is just
and it's set in an apartment block and it's doing really interesting things with the lighting. So no, you can't say it's Die Hard. Die Hard is totally different. I mean, like that one, the Dwayne Johnson one that's coming out, that's actually
that is actually Die Hard. That is actually Die Hard.
But you can't say that any finale set in a building is Die
Hard. Then you'd be like, like it's like The Raid, or it's like Dread, or
exactly. Yeah. So it's a bit simplistic, because I know how last week we were talking about, how comparing films to other films, like we were talking about Dublin School compared to Trainspotting and comparing it to Adam and Paul, it can be a bit kind of unfair on those movies, because they are trying to do something different. They just might have some things in common to do with like certain storylines or characters, and that's really the only place where the similarities lie. You know what I
even
mean?
even like in like terms of like tropes of the genre, that kind of way. It's in like an action movie, if it's going to be a one-liner, or if it's a horror movie, if somebody gets separated, that's them finished. That kind of thing, So I guess out of 5, what are you thinking?
I think 3.5 out of 5. I did really enjoy it. Like I said, if I'd seen other ones, I might have felt like differently. I might have thought,
are you motivated now to go see them?
Not particularly.
Yeah, see, this is it.
Because I kind of feel like, well, in fairness, obviously it has enough of a following that they've made a 4th one, but I don't know, like, aren't they just the same movie over and over?
You're kind of wondering to see where it's going to end. I mean, I guess the fact that they can kind of bang them out pretty cheaply. And,
which is what Blumhouse is kind of professionals at. And the fact that some of their movies, like even going back to, Paranormal Activity and everything, are some of the like most profitable movies that were ever made. So, I mean, it's a niche that they're good at, and they make these really kind of intriguing movies. And, in terms of like horror, I don't know how I'd write it as a horror, because like I was talking about this before, I've only kind of gotten into horrors recently, and there were a few jump scares, and there is this one character in it, Skeletor, who is like genuinely terrifying. Like, he's so scary. That is so well done, but it's not kind of like will keep you up at night.
It's more just kind of in the moment kind of thing.
It's kind of like fun for like a few jump scares, but I'd almost describe it more as a thriller than a horror,
it kind of has that kind of buzz. Like, I mean, that's what the first one had. Cool. All right, let's move on. The other movie we have out this week is Mary Shelley. Now, I'm really interested in this because, first off, I have a weird kind of graw for Frankenstein. I don't know why that is.
I love Frankenstein.
Yeah, me too. Right?
I do.
Yeah, I've always kind of been really interested in the character. But having said that, the idea of making a biopic out of Mary Shelley seems a bit odd, because I kind of think that, like, the one work that she's known for is Frankenstein. So realistically, how are you gonna try spin an entire narrative out of that? So what's it about? I mean, I guess what it is actually about.
Well, I mean, it really does kind of focus on how she came to write Frankenstein, and kind of the third act very much focuses around like the publication of it and the aftermath of that, the fact that like her name wasn't originally attached to it, it was just by the author and everything, and how she kind of had to fight for authorship of it and everything. And then the first 2 acts basically follow how she has to kind of build up from this legacy because she's the daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft and William Godwin, who are both like major like philosophers and writers at their time and everything. And then it also follows her romantic relationship with Percy Shelley.
Yeah.
Who was a poet as well. So she's kind of surrounded by all these influences, but it's interesting because it's not really a love story, and I thought it would be that, but what it actually becomes more about is about this young woman trying to like find her voice and trying to find the story that will kind of identify her and kind of give like her voice meaning.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a really good story to come out at the moment because I think that we're living in these really kind of strongly feminist times and everything.
Yeah.
So I did like it. I thought Elle Fanning was amazing. I just love her. I think she's amazing.
I can't.
Well, remember we both were kind of fangirling over The Neon Demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing film and she's awesome in it. Like, how do you pull off a role that's so effing weird?
But,
you know?
I think, right, you see, this is the thing. When I was watching Neon Demon, it was kind of like, yeah, she's playing this like she's a sort of fairy tale character, like Snow White as well.
Yeah, because she was in Maleficent and everything,
exactly.
so she came from that background.
And and of course, that made sense. But when I was watching, it was like, you are not a good actress. Like, I don't know, but
what the hell?
No, because I'll tell you why. Because it's the sort of thing of like, she's not a good actress, but her terrible acting is kind of, fits into this kind of heightened world. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
I totally disagree with you. Everything I see Elle Fanning in, I just think that she's like awesome in. Even that terrible movie,
and that's
which
what I'm saying.
We'll be talking about later.
Yes.
But even in that, like she kind of powered through. You know what I mean? I don't know. I totally disagree with you. I think she's incredibly talented.
I don't know. I mean, I've never seen her give a kind of very subtle... I've never seen her give a subtle performance. That's what I would say. I don't think she's given a subtle performance.
I guess. Maybe that's her style. Maybe it's like classic Hollywood. You know
maybe, I mean, there is an element to... I'd argue there's an element to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a pretty decent cast with this. You have, like, Maisie Williams, you have Douglas Booth, you have...
Although I will warn for Game of Thrones fans that Maisie Williams' role in it is quite small.
I would imagine that. Yeah, I would imagine that. This is not getting great reviews though.
Yeah.
In fairness, like it's on 33% on Rotten Tomatoes and 49% on Metacritic.
You know what? When I initially came out of it, I was like, that was lovely. It was that kind of feeling of, that was really nice. And I thought that they kind of did justice to her story and everything. But then, you know what happened? The more I was thinking about it, the more I was like kind of thinking of the little like inconsistencies. And I was kind of like, hang on, but did it actually do that? And did it actually do that? And then the more I kind of thought about it as well, remember I was talking about kind of the feminism aspect of it. I was also kind of thinking, well, is it actually A, saying anything new? And B, is it maybe slightly... Not abusive, but kind of manipulating and utilizing the fact that we are having these conversations in this time and kind of making a story about, a young female writer almost like for the sake of it because they know that people are going to be like, oh, this is so like feminist and everything, you know, but how feminist is it really, I suppose I'd say.
Yeah,
you know?
And I guess, I mean, I always think with regards to biopics, it's the kind of thing of you can either... a lot of it kind of comes down to how well the character is known, I think. Unless it's somebody so unknown that you are basically taking this story and you are just completely...
I think that Belle did that really well.
Yeah.
Very
much so. Yeah, very, very, very much so. Or even something like then the other end of it is something like, Gandhi, where it's like, everyone knows his story, everyone knows what he did, and this is just a faithful retelling of it. But when there's something like this where it's like, oh yeah, Mary Shelley, I kind of know her from Frankenstein, but like you're kind of like thinking, oh, well, do I really want to know any more about that? Like she wrote Frankenstein, so what? Like, I mean, you don't see people going, clamoring for, Bram Stoker's biopic, that kind of way.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And then also, like I said, there were some elements of it that I was like, did that actually happen, or are you doing this for the sake of dramatization? Because, like... I suppose the go-to example I would give would be, say, Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, which took a lot of artistic license, a lot of it, but it did it for the sake of like style and everything.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of have to do one of the two extremes. You kind of have to...
lean into it.
Yeah, kind of go mad with the style and kind of be like, well, kind of somewhat keep to the actual story, or you have to be like really very faithful other than a few things. Like, I felt like it shouldn't have left me in so much doubt over what actually happened. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have. So I suppose that's how I felt about it. I mean, it still looked very nice and everything, but I mean, the BFI at this point, because again, it's like British Film Institute. I mean, they have that like all down to a T anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a known fact that they're going to look great settings wise and costume wise. It's everything everything else you do with it. And I felt that I did really like it, but it didn't stay with me the way I wanted it to. And like I said, I've had doubts since. You know, you're meant to, like, when you leave a film, you're meant to kind of still be thinking about it and getting excited over it. And like, oh, I remember this bit, I remember that bit. And now I'm like, I want to read up where the inconsistencies are.
Yeah, so you can point it out.
Know. Yes.
Yeah, because like, do you remember that film that was out before Christmas, The Man Who Invented Christmas?
Yes.
That
was really enjoyable.
Yeah, it was enjoyable, but at the same time, it was like, okay, that's just a little bit. It's the same thing. Like, it was after I watched it, it was like, okay, I don't think Charles Dickens really did.
Yeah.
You know that sort of way. That did he actually, in fact, invent Christmas or at least popularize it?
Well, I think
and it turned out to be true.
Yeah. And in fairness, like, I thought that was kind of the wrong title to give that movie. I think that they were just doing it for the sake of like dramatization. But again, that would be a film that I would argue that kind of went for like the style. You know, the fact that he actually is walking around and talking to Scrooge and everything. And Christopher Plummer's amazing in it as well.
So good
and Dan Stevens, they're just like, oh, make another movie with them.
They really should. Like, I mean, Christopher Plummer, like, talk about like, you know, late stage career revival or whatever. He was brilliant in that. And of course, I don't care what anybody says. All the Money in the World was class. I really enjoyed it.
I still have to see it.
I mean, it's really good.
I know.
It was really, really enjoyed it.
There were just so many, like,
right towards the end.
Ones. Yeah, exactly. I will get to it.
No, do definitely. Okay, so Mary Shelley, what are you going to give it out of 5? Do you think?
I'll give it 3.5. I still really liked it. I kind of, like I said, when I was leaving it, I was like, oh, definitely like 4 out of 5. And I feel bad like being like, oh, I want to bring it down. But I don't know. I think it's good sometimes having movies to kind of be able to stew over them for a bit first.
Okay, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do best movies of the year so far.
Okay. And you and I both came up with this, actually.
We both came up with this. Now, you can read the full article on site if you want. We are going to pick out the top 5 from that. At number 5, Shape of Water. Yeah. Now, if Mike was here, right, he's not here. He wouldn't even let us put us in the 10. He did not enjoy this at all. I will say, because he's not here, I'll speak devil's advocate on his behalf. I can see why he disliked it, in the sense of, I thought you can definitely watch this film, come out of it and be like, that's just a fairy tale. That's just a completely unrealistic.
And I mean, it's weird.
It's a fish, man. Yeah, of course. It's a fish and a deaf woman, a mute woman, having a relationship, getting it on. It's weird. I fully get that it's weird. Now, I loved that. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was really beautifully shot and all the rest of it, but I can totally see why some people may not like it. How about you?
I agree with all of that. I actually have nothing to add. I think you summarised it very well there, in fairness.
Much, do you think it deserved Best Picture?
Oh, that's a toughie. See, my personal favourite was Lady Bird.
Same as.
Of last year.
Yeah, same as.
So I would have loved to see that, but realistically, I don't think it was going to happen.
I don't think it was, because like, I mean, like, it's the same with like most kind of like, movies that get into the Best Picture category. If it's something to do with movies, or if it has some kind of reference to Hollywood, you can be guaranteed it's going to have a better shot than anyone else. Like,
and
same
The Shape
with, like,
of Water, The Shape of Water did have that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So that's why when it was up against it, I was like, that's Shape of Water has this one. Number 4 was A Quiet Place.
Yes.
Now, I gave this 4.5 stars at the time, and I regretted it.
I remember for both of us, it was the same thing. We were a little irked by that ending.
Yeah. Now, we can mention the ending now, because, I mean, it's been out a while, and I think people have seen it.
I don't know.
Can we give it away, do you think?
No.
Okay,
don't say. Don't say. Better not. Just in case.
But yeah, no, this was ridiculously well directed.
Yes.
It looked gorgeous. I think the performances from Emily Blunt and John Krasinski were incredible. And it was maybe not an original idea, but it was definitely a new take on it.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of...
I would call it original.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah.
I mean, the idea of like kind of removing dialogue from it and just kind of solely focusing on, how the camera is shot or how the camera is placed and all the rest of it, I thought was incredible.
I thought it was just genuinely like thrilling as well. Like you're just hooked to it from start to finish, like edge of your seat, proper. And I think that it did really well to kind of cross that boundary in that critics loved it and the audiences loved it.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy when you're watching it to see why that is, because it does just have that broad appeal in that it's just really well made and that it's also just really entertaining and thrilling and engaging, I'm
worried though, see, this is the other thing, I'm worried if the idea of a sequel is going to kind of ruin it a little bit.
Is it going to become a bit like The Purge and they're just kind of reeling them out and it's basically the same thing? Because I mean you can't really do a sequel based on a concept, if you know what I mean, and that's what this film essentially is.
And to be honest, a lot of it felt like it was kind of like catching lightning in a bottle, like that kind of way. I don't think that they could replicate it. Now, to be fair, I mean, just this weekend, the producers of it were saying that, like, we are going to spend time in the sequel. We're not just kind of going to churn this out purely for the sake of it. We want to get this right.
I feel like if they would, but I mean, I feel like if they were doing it again, they're probably looking at different characters. I don't see how you can follow the same one. So it'll probably be in this same world, but maybe follow, I don't know, a romantic couple or maybe a family again. But again, it was just like, it was kind of the purity in the way that this was so original and the first
self-contained.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
self-contained.
I'm kind of like, okay, do a sequel, but I think that they'd be, I honestly think they'd be lessening the original.
Same as. It was the same with Cloverfield. Like first Cloverfield was like, it's fine, leave it alone. You do not need to make a sequel. And I mean, I know you had like,
and now they've made a whole universe.
Yeah, it's just like, oh god. Now, number 3 is Tully, and to my utter discredit,
Brian,
I still haven't got a chance to see it yet.
I can't believe you still
I still haven't got a chance to see it yet. Take it away.
This is amazing. This is my favorite movie of the year so far. It is, which is why I'm like, you have to put it in there. I mean, it's my favorite as in, like, now that we've kind of gotten away from award season and everything, I think it's too easy to kind of put a number one,
true, very
like
true,
win Oscars and awards and all of that stuff. I'm really upset by the fact that this film came and went because I think it's an incredibly powerful story. I think Charlize Theron's amazing in it. So is, I forget her name.
Mackenzie Davis?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's amazing in it as well. Just like I've never seen a film portray motherhood in this way. Like you look at the likes of, Terms of Endearment, and there are other ones, like there are plenty that have like, portrayed like mother-daughter relationships, and there have been very teary ones and everything like that, but never kind of the way like mothers have to care for their babies and their children and just like provide for every single basic need of theirs, like, and how grueling and physically painful that is.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like I've never seen a film portray it this way, but do so in kind of a very like, not like horrifying, but such a like touching way, and then just like where the story goes and everything and her relationship with this nanny and everything. It's just so beautifully done that everyone should go see it. I hope I've sold it with that.
I know, yeah, definitely. No, I mean, I want to see it, like, because I know you and Mike wouldn't shut up about it after you'd seen it, like, so I definitely do want to catch it.
And in fairness, editor Dave O'Shaughnessy said he totally agreed with me about the 5-star rating, because I was like, maybe it's like too generous, but at the same time, I was like, I just see it as this perfect little film within its own world, which is the way we kind of describe Lady Bird as well.
Exactly, and funny, we move right on to Lady Bird, which was our number 2 choice, and it's the same thing, like the idea of it's this self-contained story that has, doesn't have a...
Lady Bird 2, no?
No, God, no. I mean...
Follows her in college.
But that's it. See, that's just it. If they followed her to college, you'd be like, oh, Christ.
It
like,
ruins
you're ruining it. Like, I mean, what can we say about Lady Bird we haven't already said?
Yeah.
It's so well made.
It's so funny. Like all the like little
funny
characters and everything, all these little like conversations and just slices, moments of life, that episodic nature to it, and how each episode is kind of like interesting in that it's kind of self-contained in its own little
You could
way
easily
as well.
spin them all off into their own kind of movie. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Laurie Metcalf for me was brilliant in this. Now, for people who don't know, like, I mean, obviously they know her from Roseanne or whatever, but she's more known as a theatre actor. And honestly, like, the performance she gave in this was that good. The whole time I was watching, I was like, she deserves an Oscar for this. She absolutely 1000% deserves an Oscar. And it didn't happen for her. And
I think that it's like in relation to, I know that it was I'm so bad with names today. Who won for I, Tonya?
What's her face? Alison Janney.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I know
she was great in it.
And she was really great, but I agree with you in that I think that Laurie Metcalf's performance, like when I was watching her on the screen, I felt like I could, not that I could be watching my own mother, but I felt like I could be watching
someone
an
else's
actual mother.
Yeah.
Like she was that kind of real and that like three-dimensional and complicated. Whereas Alison Janney's performance was almost kind of cartoonish.
It's weird, right?
Like it's kind of over
the top.
Over the top. Even though I'm sure that from what I've heard, Tonya Harding's mother is actually
was
like
really
that.
like that. Yeah. But I always think it's kind of strange because like when you think back to like J.K. Simmons in Whiplash, and he was Best Supporting Actor, and like, you know, every scene he was in that movie, he just completely stole it out from underneath of Miles Teller. And again, the same in I, Tonya, you know, her performance, every scene she was in, she was the sole focus of it. And I always kind of think like if a supporting actor or supporting actress is supposed to support the lead or supposed to support the story, not just kind of like grab the camera and put all the attention on them. And I felt that's why like Laurie Metcalf, like every scene that she's in Lady Bird, you know, she's giving a really honest, true performance. Like. And like you say, like it's very real, it's very natural, very well rounded. That you're kind of like, well, that's the better performance, is it not? Do you know what I mean?
And
like,
she's not really so much scene stealing as she's scene sharing.
Yes.
And I think that's very consciously done.
And I think that's brilliant. Like I think that was so well done. And it just, I mean, if you haven't seen Lady Bird yet, God, I don't know what to do with you. Like genuinely go see it because it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, and our number one choice. Pretty obvious. Michael Inside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I mean...
I genuinely think it's one of the best Irish movies I've seen in years.
Yeah.
Years.
Really is. I mean, everything about it. I mean, the way that Frank Berry kind of sets it all up, you know, the understanding of the drama and the tension that goes into it. But even that as well is the fact that it's, you know, I think I was thinking about it when I was writing The Oak, and it was like, remember we were kind of having the argument of like, oh, look, are we just saying this just because it's an Irish film that we're putting it at number one? And there was a sort of thing of like, oh, well, you know, like it's, you know, we're an Irish movie website and it's, you know, we are Irish film journalists, and it's the sort of thing that like, are we just giving it unfair advantage? But the fact is that this is a really sharp drama. The performances from like David Flynn and Lala Raddy are both incredible.
Yeah.
And when you're watching it, it mixes drama with horror, with a little bit of humor in places. It has everything. Like it's really just a brilliant film.
I just love as well how pared back it is in relation to genuinely, like I've seen a lot of, you know, prison and crime dramas over the years, and this just felt so authentic and so real. Like I've never seen the prison system and prison life portrayed in this way. Like you see him go in, you see them be that bit kind of gentler with him. The fact that like he's so young going in and everything. You see him go through like the writing processes and him being put behind the bars. You see the kind of conversations he has, and everything about it just felt so real. It actually had quite a visceral impact because it was so real. And then with that, obviously not going to give away the ending and everything, but it's just so tragic, but like so kind of inevitable as well.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
it's horrible,
like it's kind of set up from the start that this is
where it's
leading,
and this is where it will end.
Even like before he ends up in prison, you kind of know what's going to happen, and it's so sad, but amazing, and like a really kind of quite a powerful message with where Irish society is today. It's true. I know it sounds a bit like wanky or whatever, but it's true. It's true.
It really is. Yeah, and you can watch our interview with Frank Berry is up on the entertainment.ie YouTube as well.
Very good interview, by the way. I saw it.
Thank you very much. Okay, now onto the worst. Now,
our worst.
I'm going to blast through these because I swear to God, these are.
We don't want to contemplate them. Don't want to think about them.
Don't want to think about it too much. I will admit, of our top 5, I have only seen. I've seen 3. Okay, so.
Oh yeah.
It's not the end of the world. Winchester.
Yeah.
What a weird, awful film.
Yeah.
What a weird choice. Like Helen Mirren doing something like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't even have like a press screening for it or anything, which is always like,
actually,
yeah. So, just Helen Mirren deserved better. I felt like at the start it could have been something because it had like a few like jump scares that were done quite well. And I genuinely was like, ooh, this is getting kind of scary. And then it just kind of started going nuts and it didn't know where it was going. It became so unscary,
Yeah.
and so unrealistic. And I'm talking about unrealistic for like a ghost story. So you
which
know
is kind
how
of
bad
ridiculous.
it is
Yeah.
then. And it didn't make any sense. And the ending of it was just like, I don't know. And it was like it belonged to a different movie from what it started with. Everything was so happy and nice and wrapped up. And I was like, I don't know what this movie was trying to do, but it is a mess.
A mess. Now, speaking of messes, 50 Shades Freed. Now, I think, it's funny, right? Because I always think of like 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. They're punching bags. They're just punching bags. Like, I remember writing the review for 50 Shades of Grey and just being like, I am going to take everything out on this. I am just going to murder this. And like, it was
just
the same.
Like putting the tape on the knuckles.
Oh yeah, I was like, I had a millstone and just like sharpening the axe as I was doing it, like. And it was the same with 50 Shades Darker as well. I was just like, I am going to rip this a new one. Like,
I didn't see the second one, and I don't care to.
Do you know what? Like, I'll tell you right now, it's just as well I was paid to see both of them because there is no way I would have seen it any otherwise. How bad is 50 Shades Freed?
I think that one of the worst scenes, like I said, although later I found out that it was ice cream as opposed to yogurt, but when she's putting that on his chest and eating it off him, it's just kind of gross. And remember, you were like, isn't that stuff going to
curdle?
Yeah, it's going to
It would
curdle.
coagulate. I remember that now. Yeah.
It's
that
just
would smell
kind of
awful.
Gross looking.
Ugh.
Everything about it is just so like bad and inconsistent and not sexy. Like, people find this sexy, really?
I don't think they do,
gross.
though. Like, I mean, God help you if that's what you're basing.
And it's so depressing. I really, really hope people don't take this seriously, because genuinely it's quite an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he buys the company so she gets her dream job. The fact that like they have an argument about taking his surname. The fact that, oh yeah, she gets pregnant and they haven't actually had a conversation about having kids, but they still got married. It's just, there's just nothing. Yeah, it's depressing.
It's depressing.
But it's over.
It's over. That's it, done now. I mean, although didn't your one E.L. James like write books from his perspective?
Well, I doubt Dakota Johnson or Jamie Dornan are going to want anything to do with them. Maybe they'll hire someone from Love Island. They seem to be kind of
Okay. You're all talking about Love
looking
Island.
for an opportunity.
I swear to God, I know nothing about Love Island, and I'm getting forced to write stories about Love Island. I can't help. I'm sorry. Okay, let's move it on. Insidious, The Last Key.
I haven't seen this one now, and I've no interest.
I can't remember anything about this film. I'm not kidding you. I don't remember anything. I know I saw it because the review is up, and I know that I didn't like it when I saw it. But when I came to actually write the little description thing for the article, I was like, I actually can't remember anything about this film.
Yeah.
I just think I've just blocked it out of my head.
I remember in the trailer there was an old lady. So there's something to do with an old lady.
And there was something with the key, and then the key puts it in the neck, and then it turns. Whatever.
Is that the last one now of the Insidious series?
I hope so. God, I hope so. If there is justice in the world, it will be. I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Well, the guy who directed this one,
the last key. Usually, when there's last in it, it means it's the last one, right?
Yeah, but then there was like the Last Exorcism Part 2.
Oh yeah, Part 2. So
why
that
would you
doesn't
do
even
that?
make sense. That it
Doesn't
would
even
be
make
the
sense.
last.
Yeah, or like the video game, like The Last of Us Part 2. Like, you would think that would be the end of it, but obviously
no.
not.
But The Last of Us was the first one, so
I know that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying. It was making a joke. Number 2 was Den of Thieves. Now this,
you actually left when you came in to chat with us about this. You were almost like angry with how bad this was.
I was. I'll tell you why I was angry, because Heat is in my top 5 of all time. I love Heat. I could watch that film at any point and tell you exactly where it is. I love Heat. I felt Den of Thieves was basically Heat but on steroids, and not in a good way. As in, like, this was like if Heat was essentially given really bad steroids and creatine, and then it took a poop, and then this was this was basically, Heat.
Graphic.
This was like Heat juiced up, but Heat juiced up with, and this is what it's evacuated from its bowels, was Den of Thieves. Jared Butler, God bless him. I don't know what's happened to that man, but he is just fire his agent, because the choices that he's making are all wrong.
Yeah. Well,
like
Geostorm last year, one of our worst. I think like for the last few years now, I mean, I'm just thinking of there was that Gods of Egypt one. I mean, he has come into like your top worst movies of the year for the last few years now, I'd say.
Yeah, London Has Fallen was a terrible one as well.
Another one, yeah.
But yet, having said that, I thought Olympus Has Fallen was hilarious. Great.
Haven't seen that.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, it's terrible.
I remember that was out around the same time as
White House Down.
Yeah, and I saw that one.
Yeah, which was
is
fun.
a bit of fun. It is a
saying.
bit of fun. Yeah, yeah.
They're
I mean, I
both a bit
wouldn't
of
see
fun.
it yet, but at the time.
But another one I think that is interesting in Den of Thieves is Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black. Pablo Schreiber is in
I thought
this.
you were just saying porn. I was like, there's porn.
Okay, I'm not getting that weird. But yeah, Porn Stash from Orange is the New Black was in Den of Thieves as well. And he's a really good actor. He's a really good actor, but he just is so out of place in this that it's hilarious. And then finally, our worst film of the year from me and you, Dee, was How to Talk to Girl at Parties.
Yeah.
This film really angered me in a way that was very personal. It really, really angered me.
Personal? Why personal?
I really like punk. And punk is all about and punk is all about
you're painting your nails black as a child.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be about, authenticity and integrity.
Yeah.
And this film had none of it.
Yeah.
Why did you hate it?
I just didn't get it. I thought it was weird. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't like the characters.
Yeah.
I didn't like the story. I didn't like the way it looked. I thought it was a very ugly film.
Yeah.
And you know how I'm mad into my cinematography. And sure, I mentioned it in Mary Shelley. I like my nice costume design, production design. I just thought this film was repulsive to look at.
Yeah. And like I know that's meant to be the whole punk thing, that it's meant to be all like scratchy. But it wasn't even that,
well, like you said, it wasn't authentic. But even like the punk, it was kind of like they didn't really do it in a particularly like striking way. Like if you're going for the punk thing, you should make it such a design that it does draw in the eye.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be repulsive looking. It wasn't because of the punk thing. I mean, it was more kind of the whole alien universe. Yeah, because they cross the alien universe with the punk rock. It's just a weird film. It's weird, and I didn't get it. And I don't know anyone who would like this film.
Neil Gaiman fans.
I don't know who that is, but
he's the guy who wrote the short story. He's the guy who wrote American Gods. And,
Stardust. And I know it was the guy that did Hedwig and the Angry Itch, and I think that was quite big, and it was a big Broadway play. I'm not sure if the movie adaptation did as well, but I suppose that's his style. He goes for these kind of really stylistic type of films, but Star Wars with this, I thought it was
muck. I didn't like it
repulsive.
Yeah, I didn't like it was just a bad film. It was just a really, really bad film.
It's just like, I don't know. It's like a really overly ambitious student got a proper budget to do it,
and just
but they didn't actually. They thought that they were sure of what they were doing.
Yeah,
and then the final product was a mess. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like they're in love with their film.
Oh yeah,
and it's kind of all the like parents and friends going to it and supporting them and
it's
being
amazing.
like, it's great, it's great.
Yeah.
But like when they're home in the car, being like, what the hell was that? And don't let this person make any more movies.
Yeah, but they probably will. They probably will. Okay, so you can read both articles. They're on site now. 10 best of the year, 10 worst of the year, and okay. News.
Now actual news.
Now we're ready for all right.
You joined in that time.
I did. I did it. Okay, first up you have Jim Carrey and Robotnik.
Yes, so you would know all about this stuff because this all broke over the weekend. We're kind of, just to contextualize, by the way, for anyone watching or listening in, we did record quite early this week. So if these news articles
the stories are all
old, I apologize. I'm sorry if Jim Carrey has been fired from Sonic the Hedgehog.
Why would he be fired though?
I doubt he would be. I mean, it is kind of class casting, but yeah, he is in the final stages of negotiation to play Dr. Robotnik in an upcoming live action version of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is based on the gaming franchise. So far, James Marsden and Tika Sumpter. I don't actually know who that is.
Tika Sumpter. Tika Sumpter was in... Give me a second now. She was in something...
This is why you should have IMDb
open. I have it open. I do have it open. I have it open
But James Marsden, I do love. This film is scheduled anyway for a release on November 15th, 2019. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is great, and I love seeing Jim Carrey come back. Oh, did you find out where she's from?
She was in Southside with You, and she was in Ride Along and Ride Along 2.
Oh, in Southside with You, did she?
She was Michelle Obama. Yeah,
oh,
she was Michelle
nice.
Obama.
I've actually heard good things about that particular adaptation.
Of Southside with You?
No, of like the whole Obama story, because I
Oh,
think
yeah, it's
that
really
there were
good.
meant to be two out around the same time.
Yeah.
And one was kind of rubbish, and I think that was the good one.
It's really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
Southside with You is really good. It's really lovely, kind of just little romantic drama kind of thing. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before we went on there. I mean, I'm still feeling kind of cynical about the whole like game to movie adaptation
never work.
thing, because they don't work. And I mean, the last kind of major attempt we saw at that was probably Assassin's Creed, which was disastrous. And I think that Michael Fassbender is still kind of taking a
bit of a dive because of it. But I think though, like with something like Sonic the Hedgehog, it's a cartoon. Like, I mean, this is meant to be like a live action CGI hybrid. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I mean, the only way I can see it working is if you go kind of mad with it, which is why I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of slightly looking forward to the Detective Pikachu movie.
Yeah,
because
but Ryan Reynolds.
It's Ryan Reynolds, and just the whole idea of it is so kind of nuts that I'm really intrigued to see it.
It was the same. Like, it was the same with Lego Movie. When Lego Movie was first announced, it was like, how is anyone going to make a movie out of Lego? But yet it turned out to be great.
Yeah.
So I could work. I don't know. Jim Carrey, I mean, the fact that he's back doing, you know, kind of comedic stuff like this, I think is a good sign.
I love the look actually of, I can't remember it. Maybe you can look it
up
up there.
The Jim Carrey one.
He has this TV series coming up in which he plays the host of a children's show. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it Sesame Street, but he has like kind of puppets.
It's like
stuff
Mr.
like that
Rogers
going
kind
on.
of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think it looks very, very sweet, and I think it looks like him back in kind of 90s Truman Show form. So I'm personally really excited to see that. But I am always kind of wary with these TV series. I prefer to hear like what kind of the critical reception is of them first, because I mean they're released stateside and everything, and sometimes they take a while to come over here.
Kidding.
So I'm
Kidding was the name of the series.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have high hopes for it. I hope it's good. And it has who else is in it? Your one from Get Out. I can't do names today.
Catherine Keener.
Yeah.
Frank Langella.
And I love
Judy
her
Greer.
too. So I really hope that it's good.
And it's Michel Gondry, the guy who did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
There you go.
So it's all like I'd say that'd be pretty interesting.
So we are glad to see Jim Carrey back, and we hope that more and more good things happen for him.
Indeed.
Yay. So next item on the agenda, Greta Gerwig's next film will be Little Women, with Saoirse Ronan, Meryl Streep, Emma Stone and Timothée Chalamet. What is there to not love about this movie? This is going to be
give her
awesome.
the Oscar now.
Yeah, give them all Oscars. Just make them each like Oscarettes.
Yeah.
So it could be Timothée Chalamet's Oscar win as well, because remember he did get his nod for Call Me By Your Name.
He did, yeah.
But people were saying like, a lot of people actually, a lot of the young'uns wanted him to win, which I thought might be interesting to see, because you know how they announced the Academy members recently, and they're becoming a lot more diverse and younger, which is brilliant to see. So you never know if next year that's really going to kind of impact
I think it will.
Yeah,
definitely.
And the fact that they've invited so many, what is it, like 900? Oh, 900. That's what I was.
It was a big. It's a big number.
Huge.
Yeah, it was a big number. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I think the 1994 version with Winona Ryder was brilliant.
I mean, it's a brilliant story.
Yeah.
I love Little Women. How can you not love Little Women?
I know. There were no longer little... What was it? There were no longer little girls. Now there were little women.
Oh.
But, I mean, Greta Gerwig is probably the best choice to do this.
Oh,
I think.
I mean, like, coming of age is
clearly
that's her thing.
Like, she's clearly got it down pat. So,
yeah,
I think...
I mean, is there any chance it could be, like, maybe set in an alternate period? Possibly,
maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think it's just
because she hasn't really done a period setting film.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking back to. I also love her film. I don't know if you've ever seen Frances Ha.
I have seen Frances Ha.
Oh, I love that
I really like Frances Ha.
I really like it too. But yeah, she tends to do these kind of contemporary
vignettes.
settings. And yeah, exactly. See, that I think will be her strength, is the fact that like she knows how to do a film that's an episodic nature, which Little Women very much is.
Exactly.
But her films have always been kind of contemporary set. I know that now Lady Bird wasn't it like
2002, 2001?
Yeah, she said it was specifically before 9/11 because she thought that
it would have been 2000.
Yeah, because she thought that had such a like kind of cultural impact that she would have had to be handling a different kind of story. So that's why it's kind of still this age of innocence, I suppose you could say, but it's still like contemporary and modern enough, you know, to be recognizable and everything. So it'll be interesting to see what she does with something with the period setting. But at the same time, I'm saying maybe she'll make it contemporary set.
You think?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the story could easily be adapted for
That's what I think,
I suppose, yeah. Okay, and final one, what do you got?
Again, this is going to be old.
This will be old. Like, I know this is going to be old by the time it gets out.
Apparently, the title for Avengers 4 may be confirmed. So this comes from the cinematographer Trent Opalock. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who has said that the film will be called Avengers Endgame, which is quite an awesome title, I suppose.
Do you think?
No, I mean like awesome, like as an awe-inspiring.
Oh,
like
yeah, sure,
Endgame,
yeah.
But I don't think it's awesome in of itself.
No, I don't think it's a good name at all. I think it's kind of crap, to be honest.
I think it's kind of obvious.
It is, isn't it? It feels too obvious. Like, I mean, the fact that the guy who...
Also, I can't get Ender's Game out of my head.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, yeah. I mean, like, apparently, right, the reason why people are sort of poo-pooing this rumour is Anthony and Joe Russo did an interview with Uproxx, I think it was, and they were asked, okay, has anyone actually said the title of Avengers 4 in the last movie? They said no, and there was a scene in Avengers Infinity War where he asks him, oh, we're now in the end game, and that's where apparently the title came from.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, we're doing this on Monday, so there is every possibility that this story will be completely debunked by the time this gets out on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We'll just play it by ear.
Let's hope that this story is still fresh by the time it gets out on Wednesday. Let's hope. Okay, so that's it for the news. Now we're on to the revisit.
Your segment.
My segment.
Yeah.
And the revisit that we have this week was suggested to us actually by Alex Ryder on YouTube. By the way, if you want to leave comments first, you can do it right there below.
Yeah, or
right
you can tweet us. I always like reading out the tweets at the Film Show. That's FILUM. But really, just communicate with us by any means you want.
Send us a carrier pigeon if you want. Do whatever you want. Mystic River, this is a good shout, right? Mystic River was kind of like, how would you say? I think it was the last performance that I've seen Sean Penn give where I felt that he cared, number one.
Really?
Yeah.
But Milk?
Yeah, Milk, I feel
there
like...
was Milk.
There was Milk, but I think in Milk he was kind
of...
of...
Gunman.
Oh, the good. See, there you go, right? I knew when you said the Gunman, I was like, he...
Well, he did really try to emulate Liam Neeson. He was trying in that
Do you
sense.
think? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He was like, if Liam Neeson could do this, I can totally do this.
Yeah, that's exactly it. This was like, I'm going to one-up Liam Neeson and the Gunman. That's all he cared about. Was
I don't know if he was even trying to one-up. He was just trying to match.
Yeah, he was trying to match. And then, like, there was that horror. It was just... The Gunman was so bad. I remember, it was a mess. But Mystic River, on the other hand, I think was brilliant. You can really see there's that brilliant scene in Mystic River when he finds his daughter.
Yeah. No. It's not. He finds. I think it's the police find him.
The police find the daughter,
and then he's like being
he's trying to get
held back.
Yeah, that is
and he's screaming.
Like it's.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so good, and it's one of those. It's one of those scenes where you could be cynical and look at it and think, oh, he was just like, playing it up or whatever. But like when you see it in context, like. It makes such sense. It's such a horrible scene. Yeah. And that great shot where the camera is going up and like the lads are like burying him down
amazing,
kind of thing. It's so well done. I think the fact that, it was directed by Clint Eastwood, who I think can be a little bit lazy. That's the right word, as in like he's known for basically doing one take. Yeah. As in he'll just be like, look, first rehearsals. Let's just, get what you get on camera. And the fact that for a lot of those actors like Kevin Bacon and Tim Robbins and, you know, Lawrence Fishburne and Sean Penn, that was their first go on the scene.
Yeah.
And that's what they came up with. It was that raw, it was that fresh. I think you can really see it.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, it's the kind of film that you'll watch it once and you'll never watch it again.
Well, that's exactly what happened with me. I've seen it once, and we were talking about this before. Like, it was quite a few years ago I've seen it, but it's so funny that it's the same scene for both of us that stands out. It's that one of him, like, screaming and, like you said, the camera going up in that shot. And I remember the ending as well. The ending really stood out for me because I just felt so sad for, again... The
Tim
actor
Robbins
is gone. Yeah, that
Tim
would have
Robbins.
been him. The third, like, friend. Like,
Yeah.
what happened to him and everything because of, like, you know, everything that he went through. And, like, you know, you see what happens to the three of them. It's so funny. I'm talking about it and it's all coming back. What happens to the three of them as children. And that kind of leads up to that moment.
Yeah.
And it's just so heartbreakingly sad.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I suppose for me with Clint Eastwood's films, right? I had a really bad experience watching $1 Million Baby. Because I felt that it was just like manipulating emotions for the sake of it. I felt like this is like, it's almost too much and it's not even kind of real.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost too sad. It was so sad that I disconnected from it. Whereas with Mystic River, it was sad and it was so kind of character driven and everything that happened with those three lads and kind of where their lives ended up, like, you know, from this traumatic experience they all had as children, and how it led up to that kind of moment and that finale for all three of them, and the fact that not all of them could go on with their lives afterwards. It just felt very kind of authentic and so tragic as a result. So really, I think, like you said, it's a film you can't really watch more than once because, like, it's just so sad.
It takes a lot out of you.
It does take a lot out of you. Yeah, because you really believe in those three. The three leading performances from those guys are incredible. Yeah. Like, they all should have won Oscars, really.
Completely,
they're amazing,
Yeah, and like Brian Helgeland, you know, this is his script in it. The fact that he was adapting this from Dennis Lehane, I mean, that's just pedigree on pedigree.
Yeah,
like, I mean, Brian Helgeland, the guy who did LA Confidential, adapting Dennis Lehane. I mean, it was just, I always think of, like, the lines in it, even the sort of more theatrical ones, they were still, when Sean Penn says the lines, you believe it. You know, that kind of, there's a real, like, it's really authentic. You know, that kind of, you know that he actually cares about what he's saying. You know that it actually means something. Looked gorgeous. Music, again, that really kind of melancholic, just really horrible. Just, I mean,
kind of haunting or something.
Haunting, yeah.
And even that, I love the poster for the tree and the river. It's like, it's an image that really stays with you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, great choice for a revisit, but like, I would not want to revisit it. That's it. If you haven't seen it, I mean, watch it. It's
by all means. If you haven't seen it, like, watch it.
But you couldn't throw it on and just be like, we'll watch Mystic River.
Friday night viewing, why not? You know?
Let's get a beer and a pizza and watch Mystic River. No, you're not. No, you're not doing that at all.
And I remember we even watched it like... it was me and my
girlfriends. Was it like on a date? Oh, was it?
No, it was me and a couple of girlfriends. And basically, we watched, it was such a random selection. It was like Ordinary Decent Criminal, Mystic River, and that one Circle of Friends that we ended up watching.
Jesus, that is
it was
random.
Really random. Well, see, it was because we were staying in my granny's house and they were like the videos.
The only ones
basically, Irish films and critically acclaimed dramas were like our choice. And we kind of heard a lot about Mystic River, and then when we saw it, like three teenage girls, we were like, okay, this is amazing, but we are shook.
Oh, yeah. I remember once I saw on a first date, I went to see The Pianist on a first date. Yeah, I heard the producer Dave chuckle there. Yeah, it was kind of like, because I was trying to, this is God's honest truth, I was trying to be like, oh, well, you know, like, I'm big into kind of art films. Yeah, let's go see The Pianist. I hear it's great.
You're still the same shit, Brian.
Totally. I was like, Roman Polanski, here's right. Didn't know anything about it. And then, of course, it was, The Pianist. And it was very, very upsetting. And, like, it was just awful.
I think one of my most traumatic date movies was definitely Last Tango in Paris.
You went to see Last Tango in Paris?
I didn't know what was in it. I didn't know what was in it. I'll never look at butter the same way.
Well, like,
never again.
this is making a lot of things are falling into place now after you saying
What the
that.
hell does that mean?
Well, that time when you went to Amsterdam that we are not allowed to talk about on the show.
We're not talking about that.
We're not talking about it on the show.
Anyway, guys, that's it for this week.
Look, you're trying to wrap it up. I love it. I wasn't going to mention it. So yeah, I guess we better wrap it up now. I wasn't going to mention it. The look of panic in your face.
We have gone through all of this week's topics.
Yes,
so
we've covered all. We've covered all our topics. So yeah, Mike will be back next week, hopefully. Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Next week is actually a really good week because I think it's Skyscraper and Incredibles 2.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah, and like a couple of others that aren't coming to me now, but they're two biggies.
Yeah, they're really good. So yeah, like and subscribe. If you want to leave us a comment at the Film Show, you can comment underneath on the YouTube. You can email us. You can send carrier pigeons. You can do whatever. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, subscribe. And yeah, cool. And we'll see you next week.